Welcome to RelapsePreventionPlan.net's free online rehab lessons. We believe that it's never too late to learn to prevent relapse. Welcome to this presentation on family and addiction. Today we will learn to define family and describe two types of families and how they interact to form patterns of beliefs and behaviors. We'll learn to describe two qualities of well-functioning families and to describe two ways addiction can negatively impact families and two ways addiction can positively impact families. Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Family is a system, a group of interconnecting people, each of whom affects the others in profound and often hidden ways. It's a complex network of love, jealousy, pride, anxiety, joy, guilt, the full range of human emotions. Families are people who share their lives over long periods of time, are bound by ties of marriage, blood, or commitment, legal or otherwise, consider themselves as family, and share significant history and an anticipated future being in a family. Oh, excuse me. There are two types of families. The current family, which is the one in which you currently play a part. The family of origin, the family or families in which you were raised. Family of origin and experiences between family generations influence the development of communication patterns in your current family. No individual exists in a vacuum. Individuals are linked by mutual assistance, support, cooperation, or interaction with each other. Each person is part of a family, affecting and being affected by that family. The individuals and the relationships between them form the family. Whatever happens to one member of the family, like the experience of addiction, affects all the other members, and their response in turn affects the original member. Each person in a family affects the others. This is true in terms of both weaknesses and strengths. Families repeat themselves within and across generations. Members become caught up in predictable and unexamined life patterns that are created through their interactions with other family members. Addiction in the family. Although the role of each family member varies in each family situation, it is true that addiction problems generally develop within a family context. The family represents the primary setting where issues of addiction are visible. The family is where problems related to addiction are either successfully dealt with or reinforced and prolonged. People may relapse upon returning to an unchanged family environment. Families are created. We are born into a family, mature in a family, form new families, and leave them at our deaths. The family is a very powerful influence on our lives. Examining family relationships helps us to understand ourselves better. Family members are influenced by the patterns of previous generations, create their own patterns, and influence generations to come. Well-functioning families consciously work at managing their communications, develop the capacity to adapt, create, change, share intimacy, and manage conflict. Your family created your entire reality when you were a child. You learned who you were and how you were supposed to interact with others based on how your family taught you to see the world. Pause the presentation and think for a moment about how much of what you feel, how you live, and what you believe has been shaped by your family. Family beliefs determine how parents interact with their children, how children are expected to behave, attitudes, judgments, and perceptions. And beliefs separate right from wrong, define relationships, moral values, education, sexuality, career choices, ethics, and finances. Beliefs mold family behavior. Healthy family beliefs also take into consideration the feelings and needs of all family members. They provide a solid basis for a child's development and independence. Some examples of healthy family beliefs are that children are entitled to disagree, or that children can make mistakes, and that's okay. Unhealthy family beliefs are almost always self-centered and self-serving. Examples of unhealthy family beliefs include the belief that children should respect their parents no matter what, or that children should be seen and not heard. Rather than change unhealthy beliefs, some parents develop a distorted view of reality to support the beliefs they already have. Spoken and unspoken family beliefs. Spoken beliefs are expressed or communicated directly, can be disguised within words of advice such as should, ought to, and supposed to. Unspoken beliefs dictate many basic assumptions about life, exist below the level of awareness, and unspoken beliefs were implied by the way your father treated your mother, either parent treated you, and whether or not your parents used or did not use alcohol or drugs. There are as many different parental beliefs as there are parents. Parental beliefs form the skeleton of the child's intellectual perception of the world. This skeleton's flesh is made up of feelings and behaviors. The skeleton gives shape to the child's perception of their place in the world. From parental beliefs come family rules. Spoken family rules may be arbitrary but tend to be clear. Spend every Christmas at home, or don't talk back to your parents. They can be challenged because they are out in the open. Unspoken family rules are unseen, hidden rules, such as don't be more successful than your father, or don't lead your own life, or don't stop needing me. We must learn what the unspoken rules are before we can challenge them. Unhealthy family rules. Reasonable rules provide ethical and moral structure for our child's development. But if families are unhealthy, rules are based on role distortions and bizarre perceptions of reality. There's a huge gap between the parents' expectations and demands and what we really want for ourselves. As adults, we can discard rules only after we become aware of them. When we can see the rules clearly, we can exercise free choice. Healthy versus unhealthy families. Healthy families encourage individuality, personal responsibility, and independence. They develop the child's sense of adequacy and self-respect. Unhealthy families discourage individual expression, encourage everyone to conform to parents' thoughts and actions. and blur personal boundaries. In an unhealthy family, every decision you make becomes intricately interwoven with the rest of your family. Feelings, behaviors, and decisions are not your own. You are not an individual. You are an appendage of your family. Families strive to create stability. Each family creates its own balance to achieve stability. As long as members interact in certain familiar and predictable ways, this balance is not upset. An unhealthy family maintains an illusion of stability as long as no one attempts to separate, everyone follows the same family rules, and everyone has a role in the family to perpetuate the unhealthy family system. An example of roles may include dad drinks, mom plays the supportive wife, and children play the parents. In a well-functioning family, parents tend to cope with life pressures by working out problems through openly communicating, exploring options, and not being afraid to seek outside help if they need it. Unhealthy parents cope by using denial, nothing is wrong, or something was wrong, but it won't happen again. Parents minimize, discount, joke away, rationalize, or relabel the destructive behavior. Projection. Parents accuse the child of the very inadequacies they suffer from, or they blame the child for the unhealthy behaviors that result from the parent's inadequacies. Unhealthy families result in unhealthy family behaviors. Sabotage. Members are secure in their roles of rescuers and caretakers. When an unhealthy member starts to get better or enters a rehab program, the family balance is severely threatened. The rest of the family finds ways to sabotage progress so that everyone can return to their familiar role. Triangling. One family member enlists another family member as a confidant or ally against the third family member. Keeping secrets. Secrets, like addiction of a family member, turn unhealthy families into private clubs to which no outsiders are admitted. This provides a bond to pull the family together, especially when the family balance is threatened. Exercise. Examining your family. Download and print the worksheet or use a piece of paper. You can find the link to the worksheet in the link below the YouTube video. So now take 5 minutes to list 3 beliefs your parents generally demonstrated about children. For example, better safe than sorry, or you can do anything you set your mind to, and assess if they were mostly healthy or unhealthy. List 3 coping mechanisms your family used to maintain stability and assess if they were mostly healthy or unhealthy. And list 3 coping mechanisms your family used to deal with your addiction and assess if they were mostly healthy or unhealthy. So pause the presentation and really take your time with this. You can back up the presentation or return to it once you finish this exercise. Addiction in the family negatively affects family roles, rules, and rituals, adult intimacy, parent-child relationships, and sibling relationships, family relationships with the outside world, and the development of children exposed to parental addiction. Addiction creates a burden on the whole family. Negative effects on members include burden of anger, frustration, anxiety, worry, depression, shame, and guilt. Economic burden due to lost wages or additional costs of fines, treatment, or rehab. tension and conflict, abuse or violence, and family breakup. Family members try to help the person experiencing addiction. Families protect the affected member from the consequences of their impaired behaviors by accepting behaviors such as alcohol and drug use, violence, or failure to function in a responsible manner, or by taking over the impaired member's responsibilities, bailing them out of trouble, or shielding them from the consequences of their behavior. The whole family tries to cope. Family members cope with a full range of troubling behaviors such as self-neglect, theft, legal problems, debt, and more. How each family member cope with the addiction has a significant effect on the amount of support they will be willing to provide after rehab or after quitting to the person who has stopped using drugs and alcohol. Non-addicted family members' experience is shaped by their emotional reactions to having a family member with an addiction, their relationship with the affected member prior to the addiction, the nature and severity of the addiction, other stress-producing conditions that exist in the family, the kinds of coping mechanisms and interaction patterns that exist within the family, the unique circumstances and resources of the family, and the family's wider support network. The family experience of addiction. The care needed and the stigma of addiction often lead to the isolation of the whole family from the community and their social support network. Any major illness affects the whole family and changes the way everyone goes about their daily life. Social, leisure, and normal activities are all disrupted. When families learn of the addiction diagnosis, they may experience shock, fear, sadness, guilt, anxiety, confusion, compassion, understanding, and anger. They may be relieved to finally learn a reason for the changes they see in their family member. Hope the diagnosis is wrong or there has been a mistake, and experience anger and resentment if they feel powerless to change their family member's situation. The family experience of addiction. Feelings and attitudes change over time. Guilt is experienced because families believe they are somehow responsible. Grief and feelings of loss are common. Family members grieve over the loss of the person they knew or lost opportunities for successes of their family member. They find themselves experiencing alternating feelings of anger and guilt when addiction results in conflict, disruptions to family life, and financial burden. Families ride an emotional roller coaster. When their family member is doing well, they're hopeful and optimistic. When their family member relapses, they are devastated. Not all families are affected in the same way, and not all effects are negative. There is a positive family experience of addiction. Some family members are able to cope well with the stresses associated with a loved one's addiction. Many benefit from support of relatives or friends, and members of some families bond more closely together as a result of the addiction. Your recovery will impact your family. Recovery from addiction dramatically alters family structure and communications. Families do not rapidly regain health immediately following the individual's addiction recovery. Recovery can destabilize family relationships. Families that survive problems caused by addiction may disintegrate from the demands of recovery. So, how do you help your family heal? Family members experience a wide range of emotions such as anger, fear, anxiety, and depression during the addiction experience. Family members may need to learn about the specific addiction, get support and help for themselves, identify with other families experiencing similar problems, and share their feelings and concerns. Information empowers family members to learn new coping skills and lessen their negative emotions. Understanding and helping your family members to acknowledge their feelings may be uncomfortable, but it is important to their health and your relapse prevention. Your family members need to understand your plan to prevent lapse and relapse. Your family and relapse prevention. Research findings suggest that involving supportive family members contributes to a better outcome. By engaging your family members in your relapse prevention plan, bonds can be strengthened and they can develop an understanding of addiction and relapse prevention. Your family can also develop behaviors that support you as well as help them more effectively manage their own feelings and behaviors. Begin to involve your family. Tell them about learning from these online lessons and your book, Make Your Last Relapse the Last. Have them read our free book, Help Them, from relapsepreventionplan.net. Have a conference call with a family member and a counselor to hear their concerns about rehab or quitting and help them get information and answers to their questions. Recognize your family's limitations and be patient. And take the time to improve your physical and mental health, communication skills, and thinking skills before taking on family issues. So, how has your addiction impacted your family? Take 10 minutes and using your same worksheet or piece of paper, pause this presentation for as long as you need and answer these questions. List key members of your current family and family of origin. Identify for each how you see they have been impacted by your addiction. Identify for each how they have impacted your addiction. And list 3 actions you can take to acknowledge the impact of addiction on your family. Is my family a safe place for me? Sometimes families are unhealthy and take a long time to change and heal. Your family may still be an unhealthy place for you to return to right after rehab or after quitting. Some family situations are so stressful that they promote relapse. You may have to work with your family from a distance for a while through counseling or other activities before you can rejoin them. Take time to think this through very carefully. Your health depends on it. Practice new communication skills. Effective communication skills will help you to manage and change your own unhealthy patterns of communication in your family. They'll reduce conflict. They'll reduce family relationship stress that can lead to lapse and relapse. They will increase the level of support you will receive from your family. Family isn't about whose blood you have. It's about who you care about. Here's the original research and references for this presentation. And today, you learned to define family and describe 2 types of families and how they interact to form patterns of beliefs and behaviors. You learned to describe 2 qualities of well-functioning families and to describe 2 ways addiction can negatively impact families and 2 ways addiction can positively impact families. Don't forget to read and complete Chapter 8 in our free workbook, Make Your Last Relapse the Last, available from relapsepreventionplan.net. Also, don't forget to have your family download the Help Them book for free. Remember, this video is not a substitute for proper medical care and consultation with your physician. Don't ignore professional advice or delay seeking treatment based on the information in this video or on this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. You can do it. We believe in you, so don't give up.